ice and snow, where waddling feet go. Penguins in their tuxedos come to show their joy. From the pools to the skies, they play and frolic true. Welcome to Penguin Paradise, where every day's a new adventure too.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Today we are diving into the fantastic world of penguins even more. What a surprise, I know, me talking about penguins again. But when most people think about penguins, they picture the tuxedoed birds waddling on the Antarctic ice, but their story is far richer and far more older. From their origins on the warm shores of what's now New Zealand, which I still have to visit, to the giants that once ruled the oceans and all the species we have today, penguins have survived dramatic climate shifts, ice age, and even dinosaurs. So yeah, they are much cooler than dinosaurs. Sorry, people who really love dinosaurs. In this episode, we are not doing the traditional interview. Instead, I will take you on a journey through the epic tale of penguins, their evolution, and why so many species today are facing serious threats and even more. So we will meet the bold, the fast, the fashionistas, and even the shy forest dwellers of the penguin world, and we will explore what we can do to help to ensure these amazing birds don't vanish from our planet in our lifetime. So grab your headphones, settle in, and let's waddle into the incredible story of penguins. Now let's talk about the epic tale of penguins. It all started around 60 million years ago, shortly after the extinction of the dinosaurs, when early seabirds began adapting to life in the oceans and gradually evolving the traits that would eventually give rise to penguins. Now, contrary to the common Antarctic stereotype, penguins didn't originate on the ice. They first evolved in Zealandia, something that is around the present-day New Zealand, and they quickly became specialists at swimming. These first penguins had already lost the ability to fly, but their short and sturdy wings had evolved into powerful flippers, adapting to swimming and diving. Instead of soaring through air, they were becoming expert underwater hunters, chasing fish and other prey with really remarkable agility that we even see today. Between about 50 and 25 million years ago, penguins diversified into many shapes and sizes. And here I would really like to highlight giant penguins, which were nearly 1.8 meters tall or 5 feet and 11 inches. And they weighed around 80 kilograms or 176 pounds. In fact, today about 75% of all penguin species that have existed are extinct, known only from fossils. Basically, 3/4 of the penguin family tree is lost to history. Climate change and shifting oceans repeatedly squeezed and spilled population, but the core penguin body, the black and white feathers, flipper-like wings, and the typical waddling step they have, this was firmly established early on. Penguins already evolved to be aquatic before even the polar ice sheets ever existed, meaning they were fish-chasing swimmers long before Antarctica froze over. And then as the planet cooled and ocean currents shifted, penguins slowly marched, or rather waddled their way south, staking out icy territories that would make Antarctica their signature home. But penguins aren't all about freezing temperatures and snowstorm, and some, like the Galapagos penguin, decided that life near the equator was much more appealing. I mean, sun, surf, and fish. Honestly, I totally get them. Who wouldn't want a little bit beachside life instead of freezing their flippers off all year, right? This is my kind of penguin. Penguins have the slowest evolutionary rate of any bird group, but the traits that make them such incredible swimmers and divers, like the thick insulating fat, sharp underwater vision, and the ability to plunge deep into the ocean, all of this appeared already very early in their evolutionary history. They never actually could fly, and already they evolved into these very cute waddling animals. How many penguin species existed before 6 million years ago, right? I mean, based on the fossils, a lot, but to be more specific, back then, not that I remember, but legend says the Earth looked very different from today. The continents were still shifting, oceans were warmer, and polar ice sheets hadn't yet formed. And the ancient seas were full of life, and along those coastlines, penguins were already thriving. But they were really spread mostly around what is now known as New Zealand, Antarctica, and South America, exploring the world that was full of opportunities. The Earth was home to a diverse range of ancient penguin species. Based on the fossil discoveries, the scientific estimates, researchers believe that at least 40 to 60 different penguin species existed 6 million years ago, though the true number could be even higher because there are incomplete fossil records. And some of the penguins were small and agile, while others, as we already mentioned, were really huge, like the giant penguins. If you look a little bit closer, then fossils found in places like New Zealand, Antarctica, and Peru suggest penguins were always widespread across the southern hemisphere, adapting to a range of climates before really the cooling of the oceans, as we mentioned, and the changing ecosystems shaped them to smaller, more specialized species that we know today. So, how many penguin species do we have today? We recognize 18 living penguin species worldwide, at least according to the International Ornithologist Unions. This is the current count. Before, this was 17 and for many years, but a genetic study done in 2006 split the once single rockhopper penguin into the northern rockhopper and southern rockhopper species. So it brought up the species count to 18. And penguins are generally grouped into 6 main groups, often described by the names like large, crested, banded, bush-tailed, yellow-eyed, and little, and all live in the southern hemisphere. Only the Galapagos penguin lives north of the equator on the Galapagos Islands. This is important to remember because I know so many people think that polar bear and the penguin can actually meet. So no. Sorry to tell you people, they only live in the southern hemisphere. So among the 18 species, the emperor penguin is the largest one and the little penguin is the smallest one, and the population really vary widely. Some penguin numbers are in tens of millions, like the Adelie pairs or the chinstraps, while others survive really in the low thousands, like the mentioned Galapagos penguin. It's believed that there is 1,200 mature birds left. Today, also, the 11 out of the 18 species are classified as globally threatened, vulnerable, or endangered. So, with that little background, let's meet the penguins by groups and learn what makes each one of them unique. Let us start with the large penguins, or the group of large penguins. These are the true two Antarctic giants. First, we have the emperor penguin, the tallest and the heaviest of all the penguins. It stands at 1.1 or 1.3 meters high, which is 3 feet tall and 7 inches or something around that, 3 to 4 feet tall. And it weighs up to 30 to 40 kilograms, which is around 66 to 88 pounds. They breed during the Antarctic winter on a stable sea ice around the continent. Emperors, you can also remember them. They are very famous divers. They regularly plunge 200 to 500 meters down, which is around 650 to 1,600 feet. And they can stay underwater for 15 to 20 minutes. For comparison, I checked the human freediving record and it's much shallower. The current world record for a single breath dive is around 214 meters, which is around 700 feet, less than the 564 meters or 1,850 feet recorded for an emperor penguin. So penguins are incredible divers thanks to adaptations like oxygen-efficient blood and muscles and the ability to slow their heart rate while underwater. They also survive brutal colds by huddling in groups and fat reserves. The huddling thing is pretty popular to know among many of you. Usually when you see some pictures from Antarctica, we see how the penguins are all huddled together, getting warm. So it's basically not just that they love each other, but it's really for survival as well. The current estimates suggest that over 5,100 adult emperors remain, but of course, number may vary. And as of June 2025, analysts indicated that emperor penguin population is in a significant part of Antarctica. Around 30% of the global population have declined by 22% over the past 15 years due to the loss of sea ice. This brings their conservation status to near threatened. Now let's move to the second penguin in the large group, the large group of penguins. And the second penguin is the king penguin. It's the second largest penguin, just after the emperor, and they stand around 90 to 100 centimeters high, which is 2 to 3 feet tall, and have a striking orange cheek patches. This is how you can distinguish them, although you won't find them standing next to emperors, so don't worry. They breed on sub-Antarctic islands such as South Georgia. They are also excellent swimmers and divers, regularly plunging to impressive depths. And they can dive deep to about 100 to 300 meters, or 330 to 980 feet when foraging during the day. Most dives, they're just much more shallower, around 30 meters or 100 feet at night. The recorded maximum actually for the deep dive for a king penguin is around 343 meters, which is 1,125 feet. So usually king penguin colonies are active year-round because their chick take 14 to 16 months to mature, much longer than most penguin species. Things form also very dense colonies and share parenting duties, and returning usually to the same nest sites repeatedly. The current estimates suggest about 2.2 million breeding pairs exist, which brings their conservation status to least concern. Let's move to the next penguin group, which is the bush-tailed penguins. As already the name suggests, all the penguins in this group have a bushy tail. We have 3 penguins here. The first one is the Adelie penguin. The Adelie penguin is named after Adelie, the wife of explorer Jules Dumont de Urville. Okay, I don't think I pronounced it correctly, but I tried. And just remember that the penguin was named after an explorer's wife. The Adelies are 55 to 75 centimeters tall, which is around 1 foot 10 inches or 2 feet and 5 inches, and they nest across the entire Antarctic coast and the nearby islands. They are also known to be one of the feistiest species on the ice, and the chicks really peck loudly at the parents. The adults will even harass predators. I really like them because they are quite fearless. They are small, but they defend their ground. And there may be over 10 million adelies in total, and their numbers have been quite stable or even increasing in parts of Antarctica. This makes their conservation status least concerned. Now, the next one in this group is the chinstrap penguin. They are named for the thin black line under the chin that looks like a helmet strap. They look like penguins wearing helmets. They are around 70 to 75 centimeters tall, which is around 2 feet and 3 inches or 2 feet and 5 inches. And they inhabit the islands of Antarctica as well as the Antarctic Peninsula. They're possibly the most numerous penguins today, around 7.5 million breeding pairs, which brings to around 15 million birds. This is the estimate. Who knows, maybe there are even more. They cram into huge colonies. For example, one on the Zavodovsky Island once held 1.2 million pairs. They have quite a high-pitched bray that echoes across the rocks, so before you see them, you will hear them. Now, despite their numbers, climate change is reducing the sea ice and also the krills in the southern oceans, so chinstraps are believed to be declining overall, and their conservation status is now at least concerned, but we should definitely keep the chinstraps in our eyes and generally just monitor them. There are quite a lot of them, as I mentioned, and in case they decide to invade other parts of the world. I mean, they're already wearing helmets. There is quite a lot of them. One does never know. Now, the last one in the bush-tailed penguin group is the Gentoo penguin. And this one is also easily recognizable with an orange-red beak and a swept black-white eye patch. And they are around 75 to 90 centimeters tall, which is around 2 feet and 5 inches or 2 feet and 11 inches. There are about more than 700,000 gentoos worldwide, and they breed on the Antarctic Peninsula and subantarctic islands. They also nest on pebbles, or they are building these cute nests around pebbles, and which are also often decorated with feathers that they collect. You can remember them as penguins that are huge into interior design, and these are penguins that lay 2 eggs. They are quite fast in the water. They can reach speeds of about 36 kilometers per hour, and especially in short bursts when they are chasing prey. But for normal swim day, let's chill in the water, they typically move around 6 to 10 kilometers per hour. But to remember gentoos, great interior designers, and they are proposing to their chosen mate with a huge stone. The bigger, the better. I think this is something maybe we copied from them. Their numbers are quite high, but still their conservation status is near threatened. So again, penguins to keep an eye on. Now we have our next group, the little and the yellow-eyed penguins. As the name already suggests, also with this group, we will have a little and a yellow-eyed penguin there. These are tiny coastal species living far from Antarctica. The first one is the little penguin, often also called the fairy penguin or the blue penguin. This is the smallest penguin species known, and they are around 30 centimeters tall, which is around 12 inches, and are distinguished by their bluish feathers. Little penguins live in New Zealand and southern Australia, for example, on Phillip Island, where you can also go and see them. And they are sometimes split also into species. The white flipped from New Zealand and the blue from Australia, which is why some count 19 penguin species, but officially it's still 18 penguin species, but who knows? We already divided the rockhoppers into the southern and the northern, so maybe we will also divide the little penguin into two species. But for now, they are one. Worldwide, there are 50,000 to 600,000 little penguins remaining, and they usually nest in burrows and under bushes on sandy beaches. Their conservation status is least concerned. The second penguin in this group is the yellow-eyed penguin. This one is native to New Zealand, and the yellow-eyed, or sometimes called hoiho, penguin is the largest native New Zealand penguin. They are around 65 to 75 centimeters tall, which is around 2 feet 1 inch and or 2 feet and 5 inches. They have a striking pale yellow eyes and bands of yellow feathers above each eye, and they nest on the mainland New Zealand, on the southern island, and sub-Antarctic New Zealand islands as well. You can remember the yellow-eyed penguins as the shyest penguins of all the penguin species, and only about 40,000 breeding birds remain, making them one of the world's most endangered penguins. The yellow-eyed penguin conservation status is at endangered. As mentioned, they are quite shy and they live in forested areas. You can remember the penguin as the one living in a forest. Now we have another group of penguins, which is banded penguins. These have a distinguished chest bands and lived in a little bit warmer temperatures. Let's start with the first one, which is the African penguin. And well, as already the name suggests, they live in Africa. It's also Africa's only penguin found in the southwest coast of South Africa and Namibia. And they are also called jackass or black-footed penguins. They stand about 60 to 70 centimeters tall, which is about 2 feet or 2 feet and 3 inches. This penguin species is an endangered species and has suffered a dramatic decline. In the 1800s, there were around 4 million African penguins, but by 2019, only 41,000 birds remain. It was oil spills, overfishing, and environmental changes that really hit them hard. They like to nest in sandy burrows and under boulders. They really love to chill, especially in Simon Towns Beach, in the Boulders Beach. And if you want to learn more, I really love the documentary that came out on Netflix in 2021, I think. It was called Penguin Town. It's all about the African penguins and how they co-live in the city. It was really great. It was a few episodes. They could do a season 2. I would watch that as well. And because of the numbers are declining and there are not so many left, so their conservation status is at endangered. The next in the group of the bandit, I think I pronounced it incorrectly, like a bandit. It's bandit? Okay. The next penguin in this group is the Humboldt penguin, or also called, or it was called, Peruvian penguin. And they are living on the coasts of Peru and Chile. They are named for the Humboldt Current there. They are about 65 centimeters tall, around 2 feet and 2 inches. And they have a wide border across the face. And they nest in guano bird dropping stacks on rocky cliffs along the Peruvian and Chilean coast. It's really food scarcity from oversea fishing of anchovies and the guano collection that hurt them the most. You can remember the Humboldt penguins as the ones living on a pile of shit. Sorry for the language. Living on a pile of guano. Sounds nicer. Now we have the next one in this group. We have the Magellanic penguin, and they breed in South America, Chile, Argentina, also Falklands. They are about 70 centimeters tall to around 2 feet and 3 inches and have two black bands across the white chest. Their number is in the low millions, roughly 2.2 or 3.2 million adults, but they are declining to oil pollution and climate impacts. Their conservation status is near threatened. And the last penguin in this group of penguins is the Galapagos penguin, which we already mentioned in several occasions. It's the tropical outliner. He's native to the Galapagos Islands and the only penguin naturally found north of the equator, standing about 50 centimeters tall, which is 1 feet and 8 inches. It lives near the cool waters of the Humboldt and Cromwell currents, and the conservation status is also endangered, with around 1,200 mature birds that remain. I liked how they evolved to tolerate tropical sun by using the caves, and they are often panting and wetting their bellies to cool off. And because they have such a nice climate, they breed all year round. These are my kind of penguins. Warm climate, let's chill. Now we move to the last group of penguins, the crested penguins. This group is easily distinguishable because they have a vibrant yellow-orange feather plumes on the head and live mostly on sub-Antarctic islands. Let's start with the first one, which has a very memorable name, the macaroni penguin. Macaroni penguin was named after the 18th century macaroni fashion. Don't think it has anything to do with any pasta. It was really the fashion of the 18th century, and think about flamboyant hat with bright orange fringes. And you can remember this as the fashionista penguin among the penguins. Macaronis are about 70 to 75 centimeters tall, around 2 feet and 3 inches or 2 feet and 5 inches, and they have a thick orange-yellow crest. They are extremely abundant, possibly the most numerous penguin with roughly 11 million breeding pairs estimated globally. Macaroni colonies are noisy and crowded. They feed on krill and small fish and breed on, as mentioned, on sub-Antarctic islands like South Georgia. And despite the huge numbers, they are classified as vulnerable due to the overall declines from the warming seas. Another penguin in this group is the royal penguin. If you are still here and listening, you know that there is probably some pattern. We had the emperor penguin, the king penguin, and now the royal penguin. He's very similar to the macaroni penguin, but with a more whitish or white face. They breed exclusively on one of Australia's islands. And one time in the past, 3 million penguins were hunted for oil, but their numbers have been rebounded. And some ornithologists even consider the royal a subspecies of the macaroni because these penguins share the same fleshy crest. But still, they are not a subspecies, they are the separate penguin species. Let's move to the next penguin in this group. Well, it was one penguin, but now it's two penguins. And if you've been listening, you know exactly which penguins I talk about. But let's start with the first one, and it's the southern rockhopper penguin. The name already suggests what they will be famous for, rock hopping. The southern rockhopper penguin is known for a wild crest of yellow and black feathers and their ability to hop over rocks, as I said, hence the name. This penguin is about 50 centimeters tall, which is about 1 feet 8 inches. They breed on sub-Antarctic islands like Falklands and others. Only in 2006, where rockhoppers split into two species, southern rockhoppers numbers around 1 million pairs in total, but it has declined 30% in the last 50 years. So their conservation status is at vulnerable due to the oil and fishery changes. Now, his twin or very close brother is the northern rockhopper penguin. Yes, a separate species since 2000. The other is found mainly on the South Atlantic. To distinguish them from the southern rockhopper, they have longer yellow crests and slightly bigger bodies. They are much chubbier than the southern rockhoppers. And unfortunately, they are also much in danger. Their population has crashed by 90% since the 1950s due to fishing nets and warming seas. Now only a few 100,000 remain, making their conservation a priority. together with the Galapagos. The next penguin in the crested penguin group is the Fiordland penguin, also called Tawaki. They are native to New Zealand's South Island, the Fiordland coast. It has a short yellow crest stripe and is about 60 centimeters tall, around 2 feet. And they also nest under forest cover. There are only around 2,500 pairs of them. So they are also considered near threatened, partly because rats on the mainland can attack their burrows. The next penguin in this group is the Snares penguin, and another New Zealand penguin breeding only on the Snares Islands, which is off the New Zealand South Island. They're about the same size as Fiordland penguins, around 60 to 65 centimeters tall, or around 2 feet tall, with bold yellow cheek stripes. They mostly stay on the Snares Island year-round, occasionally wandering to nearby coast, but if you really want to see them, the best is to go to Snares Islands. And global population is around 25,000 pairs. Snares penguins are listed as vulnerable due to their tiny range, and any disaster on the Snares Island could wipe them out. The last penguin that we will be talking about, not only in this group, but overall, is the eret-crested penguin. Aptly named, this penguin has a stiff yellow plums that stand straight up or stand erected up, therefore erect-crested penguin. They breed on subantarctic New Zealand islands and are about 50 to 70 centimeters tall, around 1 foot 8 inches or 2 feet 3 inches. And their population is endangered and falling for unknown reasons. So they feed at sea like other crested penguins. They're quite silent, but they are watching you. Whenever you meet one, don't expect to hear him, but he will be watching you. This was all of the 18 penguin species and a little bit about them in short. While it might sound like there are a lot of penguins in terms of numbers, nearly all species face threats today, and their numbers are really declining. Several penguin species are facing serious declines, with some at risk disappearing within the century. For example, the African penguin, with only 14,000 breeding pairs, could see near extinction between 2030 and 2050, as well as the northern rockhopper 2000 can be gone. So, and not to mention, of course, also the Galapagos with only 1,200 left. We can have several penguin species extinct in our lifetime. And I'm not sure about you, but I don't want to live in a penguinless world. It would be sad. This was also one of the reasons for this podcast, to spread more awareness, as climate change, overfishing of krill and anchovy, oil spills, and habitat loss are squeezing the birds to extinction. And protecting the oceans, of course, supporting conservation programs and spreading awareness can help ensure these really iconic birds in tuxedos, always ready for a social event, that we can at least for now slow down the extinction. And you can advocate for them. You can do quite a lot to help penguins. For example, you can support the organizations dedicated to penguin conservation. I will put also a link in the show notes. You can reduce seafood consumption or choose sustainably sourced fish to protect the penguin food sources. For example, we love to eat fish in our household, but we try to find some sustainable fisheries or buy fish from brands that we trust and know that no penguin was harmed, or that penguins still have enough fish and are not starving because also we like fish. Then you can reduce plastic. You can eat properly, recycle to prevent ocean pollution or eliminate plastic from your day-to-day life. It's a little bit harder, we have to say, with when you go shopping and buying groceries, because there is a lot of plastic involved there, but we are trying to eliminate plastic in our household. And you can also advocate for marine protected areas and climate action policies that safeguard the penguin habitats. So although we can do the small steps, it all starts with us, which was also highlighted in previous podcast episodes from the experts. And we can advocate for some policy changes. And let's not forget, you can share penguin stories, documentaries, research, and inspire others. You can share this episode to someone and spread awareness. Before we sign off, let's one more time list all the 18 penguin species we have, because this was an episode about getting to know all the penguin species. We have the emperor penguin. You can remember him as the largest or the tallest penguin, also a famous deep diver, the emperor penguin. Then we have the king penguin, which is the second largest or second tallest. Then we have the Adelie penguin, small but aggressive, feisty penguin, especially towards predators. Then you have the chinstrap penguin, which is the loudest and named for the thin back line. So the chinstrap you can remember as they are the ones wearing helmets. Then we have the gentoo, which is the fastest underwater swimmer. Then the little or the blue penguin, which is the smallest. Also the name indicates it. Then the African penguin, which is the beach-loving penguin in South Africa and Namibia. So again, the beach chill-out penguin. Then the Galapagos penguin, the tropical penguin living in the Ecuador. Fiordland penguin, which is the shy forest nesting penguin. The macaroni penguin, sounds like a pasta dish penguin, but no, it's the fashionista among the penguins. Then we have the rockhopper penguins, so the southern and the northern rockhoppers, the recently split or recently divorced penguins, which are hopping around cliffs. Then we have the Magellanic penguin, the South American tuxedoed beachgoer, rocks, two black chest bands, like he's ready for a fancy party. Then we have the Humboldt penguin, the coastal style icon of Peru and Chile. Again, he's more like I woke up like these vibes. Then the Snares penguin, the New Zealand's eyebrow influencer, orange-yellow streaks above the eyes that scream, "Look at me." Then we have the erect crested penguins, the punk rocker of the sub-Antarctic, tall spiky yellow crest like a mohawk that says, "Don't mess with me." Then we have the royal penguin, the crowned aristocrat with white face and golden crown. It makes him really look like a royalty. And the last one, we have the yellow-eyed penguin, the mysterious forest ninja, pale yellow eyes peek through the trees while it silently avoids everyone. He's really like a ninja who will be just watching you. And that was it. That was all of the 18 penguin species. Hope you learned something new and that you will share the episode with others. And as always, thank you for listening. If you like this episode, be sure to follow, leave a review, or share it with someone who loves penguins, or just great conversations. Until next time, take care, stay cool, and I will catch you in the next episode.
Join us in their world where every moment's a surprise. Oh, penguin paradise, where the penguins dance and sing under the watchful eyes of the sun. They live a life so fun. From the Arctic to Antarctica, their stories